happy Monday. It is a Monday after a weekend where I was not here on Friday, so I came in this morning. It's also a start of a new month, so I switched up the seats, made the copies for the week, got things in order, and I'm ready to start a new day. I thought this week I would take you along for a week of my life, so I'm gonna pop in each day and just share a little bit about what we're doing each day. So I'm gonna get these plans already, the slides up, and I will pop in and share some of the fun activities we have for this week. Scoop and group. All right, I just got all these bags ready for scoop and group, which is what we're going to do in math. So today we are introducing place value within 40. So really the goal is for students to group items by 10 and then count on with that like beginning place value. So we're getting them to identify that a faster way of counting instead of counting by 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 40 or whatever number they might get, is that we can group items by 10 and start recognizing those numbers as groups of 10s and 1s and then count quicker. So let me show you, I'll actually show you the intro slides first, and then I'll show you how we play this game. This is gonna be the main activity we do today. So here we have our objective, which is gonna be to group items to count quickly. And then we have 2 quick number talks. What's the number? And again, here I'm just quickly wanting them to recognize 10 and 4 is 14, 2 10s and 1 5 is 25. And then actually we're just gonna do a warm up. I just wanna see how well my students are able to write the numbers 1 all the way through 40. So we'll do that quickly at the beginning. Then this is the slide that I put up on the board, and I actually have this many cubes that I will put in a bag, and I will just kind of dump them on the ground while students are in a circle. And I ask, how can I figure out how many cubes there are? And so some students are like, oh, you can just count them one by one. We can group them into 2s. Some students might say we can group them into 10s, and we're gonna kind of go with that. And then I'll show them how when I group them into 10s, it helps me count a lot faster. So we can do 10, 20, and then we count on 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. And then students are going to get their own bags of, this will kind of be like scoop and group, but first they're going to just get a bag of counters and they're going to see how they can count them quickly. They'll just do this for like 5 minutes. After that, I'll have students come back to the rug and we will just go over, this is from Math in Focus, so we'll go over how we can count by 1s, but we can also make 10s and count on, and that counting by 10s and 1s, when we do that, we count our 10s first and then we count on. So just showing them more explicitly how to do that. And then we will play scoop and group. So in the picture on the slide, I had buttons, but anything small is really what's going to work here. But there are 2 pages, if I can get it. This is the recording page, and this is the scooping mat. So the way it works is everybody will get a bag of counters here, and I tell them to reach their hand in and take out a big scoop. Then, and of course I'm showing students how to do this on the rug first, and then I'll explain how we will group these into 10s. So let's make a pile of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I will put it right here in the mat. So I'll make 1 pile of 10. And then I ask students, I'll say, oh, does it look like I can make another one? I think so, let's try. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, we have another group of 10. Then I'll ask students again, can we make another group of 10? Pretty quickly, they should recognize, no, we can't. So I put these in the leftovers, and this is where we're going to put our 1s. So I'd like you to notice we are not using any base 10 blocks yet. I'm not even using connecting cubes. I am simply getting students to group things by 10 and kind of put them in an area. So then on the recording sheet, they have to say how many groups of 10 did we get? We have 2 groups of 10. How many 1s? Count up our leftovers. We have 5. There are 5 here. So the total is 25. And then they put all the counters back in the bag, shake it up, and then the next person will take a big scoop and group them. So scoop and group. And this is from my place value pack, my hands-on place value pack. It is such a hands-on activity, and I absolutely love it for, again, just getting students to really take those items physically group them into groups of 10 and then count on from those 10. So starting with the 10s and then counting on for the 1s. So after students do that for 10 minutes, they will do a little practice sheet that I'll show you in a second. And then I just have a star on IXL for them to complete. And that should take up pretty much the whole math block. I didn't share at the beginning. Of course, we'll come in and do our counting like we usually do and our calendar routine. But let me show you the little practice sheet they did. So here's just a practice sheet that I quickly made yesterday. I can actually link it down below for free. It's in the math club already, but it's just for grouping 10s and 1s. So I have grouped the items by 10. So I'm looking for students to actually circle the groups of 10 that they find, and then 10s, 1s in total. So just like they did in their game Scoop and Group. So this one would be 3 groups of 10, 3 1s, 33. This one I did want to put one here that has 0 1s, so we can talk about what that looks like. And then just 1 group of 10 with 4 1s to make 14. Easy and fun. And then in Phonics, we are starting consonant blends. Actually, we started it last week, but only for like 1 day or 2. But also with foundations, not only is it teaching students how to read and write words with consonant blends, but we're also throwing in R-controlled vowels. So I did add, these are the 2 up here. Oh, I'm going backwards, so I couldn't do it. AR and OR. And remember, all these cards I do have for free. I will link them down below, but they are aligned foundations wise with the images. But we are going to teach students how to decode words. They're not expected to spell them in foundations yet. The R-controlled vowels, they're just expected to read them. So we will practice blends, and then we will also practice just reading some of those. And since it is up on the sound wall, I do expect my students to be able to use that if they are stuck when they are reading. And really, I even push them to write with it too, especially some of my students that I know are there. If I've introduced it and it's on the sound wall, they know that they can use it as a resource. So I will be looking for them to spell it as well. All right, that's my little pop-in for today. So I will either see you later today or I'll pop in tomorrow. Bye. Good morning. Happy Tuesday. We are back in the classroom. I feel like I just left you here yesterday. I'm trying to think about last night. Today is actually the TPT sale. There's a 2-day sale, so when you watch this, it'll already be over. But that is what I did most of last night, is I uploaded a bunch of new products to TPT. For those of you that don't really know, I have the SJT clubs, and I have one for literacy, math, and writing. And over the last few years, I really have tried to make my main creation focus for the clubs. So meaning I try to create products that the teachers in the clubs need, and I put them up there first. But what that means is sometimes by the time I can package them and get them ready for TPT, it's a little bit later. And I feel like I haven't focused on doing that as much, which is something I want to get better at. So last night after school, I kind of went home. I had some delicious chicken tortilla soup. That was so good. And then I just kind of sat at my computer for a while and uploaded, I think I got 5 new products last night. Or actually maybe even 6. Well, anyway, a couple of the big ones I got were my personal narrative writing lessons. Now these are in the club already, but I recently, with this past school year, added slides for each one, for each day's lesson. And then I also have that for opinion writing. So those are the actual lessons and slides that are in the writing clubs that haven't been on TPT for like 5 years. So I did finally package all those and put them up on TPT. I'm going to do the same for the informational writing slides once those are ready, which should be very soon. And then I also have the slides ready for the beginning of the year, kind of launching the writing block and teaching those foundational skills. I have those already, but I need to package them and get it ready for TPT. So I'm going to do that as well. So by the time this video is up, they'll already be done, but that's kind of my plan for after school today. I typically only share, what's going on in the classroom, but many of you know I have a whole other job as well, which is TPT the clubs and kind of being here on YouTube. So a lot of my free time is spent doing that work too. So that's what I did yesterday. Today, I am thinking about what I need to do. I thought I had a meeting this morning, and I'm happily surprised to find out that I do not. So that is exciting. So we are back to teaching. Just look at my plans real quick. Blends, of course. And then for writing, it looks like we're going to start brainstorming some ideas for our folktale. So maybe I'm going to take a closer look at what that looks like. Writing a folktale is not something I have done in the past. This is an HMH unit. We're on module 5, and really they're supposed to be writing like a narrative story with the pieces of a narrative story, a beginning, a middle, and an end, but our focus is on folktales. So we did introduce what a folktale is, and then yesterday we actually had a little brainstorming sheet or not a brainstorming sheet, but like a note catching sheet. And we watched Jack and the Beanstalk as well as Hansel and Gretel. And then we wrote down some of the words that we kind of hear in folktales. So we're going to do that again today. We're going to listen to one more folktale, like Once Upon a Time is usually how it begins. We took some notes on different settings that we hear. Like I think one said like a magical castle or a magical village, something like that. And then at the end, we were hearing this phrase, never blank again. They were never poor again, or they never did that again. So this kind of never again. And then we also talked about how we often hear happily ever after as one too. So let me look at those writing plans and see kind of how we're going to do this. This is my first time teaching it, so we're learning as we go. Real quick, we got to make a detour. I left my spinach feta wrap in the car. Need to go get that for breakfast. Much better. Okay, so for writing today, this is just a combination of slides that I found in some Facebook groups. So I'm kind of just mixing and matching here and adding what I need. But the objective is to establish a purpose for writing and brainstorm some ideas. So we will go over the elements of a folktale. And then this is what we did yesterday. We used this sheet that came with the HMH unit, and we recorded the kinds of words we used or that we heard in folktales. So like I said, we listened to Jack and the Beanstalk and Hansel and Gretel. Today we'll listen to Goldilocks and the Three Bears, just to kind of kick off and review what we did yesterday. And then our main text, I actually have it right here, is, let me zoom out, I don't know why I did that, is Why the Sun and the Moon Live in the Sky. And we've read that a couple times. So we are going to talk about the who, what, where, when, and why of the folktale. So we'll kind of go over each part, and then students are supposed to go ahead and brainstorm their own idea. So I do think the jump from talking about it in a text to actually generating our own idea is going to be tricky. So I'm gonna try to do a lot of kind of thinking aloud and talking about different ideas, and then they should illustrate kind of each box. So I'll check in later and let you know how this lesson went, because this is going to be a trial lesson here. Also in science today, we have a fun lesson where we have been learning about how light reflects and how light refracts, how light refracts and changes. So we are doing, I found this fun lesson on YouTube right here. Maylene, I think is her name, Mrs. Call's Campers also shared this lesson. But basically students will make a little illustration, they'll color it in, and then they put it into a Ziploc bag here. And then on the outside of the bag, they will trace it with marker, with black marker, and they'll see that when they put the bag into the water, the colorful image will kind of disappear, and all they'll see is what's on the outside of the bag. So I will insert some fun pictures here. Hopefully, if the lesson goes well, there'll be pictures there, but I think it should be a hit, and I'm kind of excited to do this lesson with students. And that's gonna end our light and sound unit that we've been doing for a while. And then we are actually on Thursday, because tomorrow's Global Play Day, so I'll be sure to check in about that. But on Thursday, we are diving into geography. So that's all the fun stuff. Good morning and happy Global Play Day. It is Wednesday. I think I still need to change the date up there. I meant to pop in yesterday after school and just kind of give a debrief of how it went, but I was too busy gabbing away. But the day went great. That science experiment was so fun, and I let the kids take home their clear cup and their picture to get to show it to their parents, and they really liked that. So that was exciting. I won't have time this morning to kind of explain all about Global Play Day and some of the activities we're doing, but I will definitely pop in after school. I have I'm doing Pilates after school, so I'll be here for like an hour to get everything ready. So during that time, I will kind of pop on and share how the day went. But it is Global Play Day, so we have a full day of all types of play, and I will share after kind of how that is set up. Now to change the board and lay some things out and begin the day. Hello. It is the end of the day. It is almost 3:30. Global Play Day is over. It is always a very fun day. but it is exhausting. Love the idea of Global Play Day, and we do so many fun things, but if you've ever played, board games or really any type of game with 6-year-olds, you'll know that most of the games end in arguments of some kind, or especially after like a full day of them, just little quarrels and things to work through, and students may be getting upset if they don't win a game, or upset about people not playing, or something doesn't go their way, right? So it's a great day to work through those things, but after 6 hours of it, it can be a lot. But it was a really fun day, so I was going to kind of pull up the slides and take you through what Global Play Day looked like for us today and what types of activities we did. All right, so students came in, and right away we just had our regular morning. I got many a side eye from my students when they're like, wait, it is play day. Why do I have to do morning work? And, I was like, no, our morning is regular, where I'm going to go over everything, talk about all the rules and so on. So we had our usual where 3 students are over at the white table. Everybody does their morning work, and then they can play at their seat. We did our lunch, of course, and then we had our regular morning meeting. I explained how we're going to work on all sorts of games and teamwork, cooperation. I asked them to share what it means to be a good sport. And then we did our Would You Rather Wednesday. So we had 2 questions. Would you rather win an Olympic gold medal or win an acting award? We kind of talked about what each one was. And then would you rather live in a big city or out on a farm, and why? And then our first game was Phonics Bingo. So these are over in the SJT Literacy Club, of course, and all we did is everybody got their own little sheet here. I always do it in groups, so about 4 students at a time have the same exact sheet, and it helps because then 4 students at a time are winning. It just lets more people win. And so this one was with blends because that is what we're working on. So I passed out the sheet and I had everybody kind of look over their words first. I asked them to read it to themselves. And if they had trouble reading one, they were supposed to raise their hand. And then I pulled the cards and I would pull it, I would show the picture, and then they had to cover it up. So we played this a few times until everybody won. And every time a group won, they would get a sticker. After that, we went over to Phonics. So we kind of followed our normal day. So we have Haggerty this is Phonics, but this was a listening game for Haggerty. Then we did Phonics. So again, we have played so many of these read and color games. It's really one of my easiest and most fun games to play for students because it's quick, they know how to do it, and we just sub out the skill each time. And they just have to decode the word and color it in. After that, we kind of all gathered on the rug and we read The Golden Acorn. This is a book by Katie Hudson. I love her books. And in this one, we talk about identifying the characteristics of a good teammate. So I actually pulled this one up on YouTube because I couldn't find my copy. I know I have one, but I couldn't find it. So I pulled it up on YouTube and we listened to that book. After we listened to that book, I explained that on Friday, it will be our 100th day of school. So we kind of took a little break from playing for a moment. And what I did, it didn't take 20 minutes to color this in, but what I did is I put a 20-minute timer up and I had students color their crown. And after they colored their crown, then they could spread out around the room with a board game and they could start doing their free play with whatever board games they brought in. So let me show you what these looked like. I have them over here on the back. So I just had everybody color in their little crown. They got to pick the color sentence strip they wanted, and I fit it to their head. And then students all brought in their own board games. This friend brought in Guess Who. His is still here, but everybody else's was kind of leaned up against here. And then they could spread out around the room, and this was their first chance to get to show other people their games that they had and get started playing with them. So they were spread out all around the room. Then it was time for snack and recess, which was a nice time to, again, kind of hang for a bit, relax. We always, we used to do Storyline Online. This is an old slide, actually, that I must have copied and pasted from last year's play day. But now we either watch Number Blocks or Wildcrats. And then was puzzle time. Puzzle time was my favorite part of the day, and I was so impressed with how students did. Puzzles can be tricky, and I don't know how many puzzles students are really doing at home anymore, just in general. I do lots of puzzles all the time. It's one of my favorite hobbies. But I don't know how often kids are doing puzzles. So I wasn't sure how it would go, but I have a variety of puzzles. I'll show you them in a second. And I basically just asked, students to split up into groups of 4 or 5, and they could go off and work with their partner and tried to complete the puzzle. Now, most of them are 100-piece puzzles, so a lot of them did not finish it within the 20 minutes. So we left it where it was because we had another puzzle time that they came back and did later so they could finish it. And almost every group was able to finish their puzzle. One group kind of gave up on it halfway through. They didn't want to go back for the next one. But it was so fun. They did such a good job. And that was one of the games or activities, I should say, that they really did the best, like cooperatively, working together. They weren't really arguing too much. They were genuinely excited when they would finish their puzzle or when they would find a hard piece. It was really cute. Let me show you the puzzles that I have. Over here in my little section here, I have, this one was a fun one that they did, their little donut puzzle. So one group did that. Also, these were the two most popular puzzles. I have, mostly boys in my class. Not that it matters, but my boys are obsessed with Dogman, and the movie just came out. So I have a 100-piece Dogman puzzle that used to belong to my boys. If I can still find them, I'll link them down below because it's such a fun, like, rainy day or indoor recess activity to do too. This one, and then the other Dogman puzzle that was quite the hit was this one. Now, this one is like a holographic puzzle. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but I can see that it is changing images. So it's actually really difficult to do, but this was another 100-piece puzzle that students loved making. And then the other two little canned puzzles here, we have Frozen and Spider-Man. So students all got in their groups, they split up, and they all completed their puzzles. So puzzle time was about 20 or so minutes. And then I actually had students grab everything that they need for lunch because we went down to the gym, and over in the gym, our gym teacher, he works as an aide in the morning for some of the kindergarten classes. So the gym is open, and what he did is he set up 2 different games that students already know how to play. So it was already set up and ready for us, and we could join with another classroom. So I joined with another 1st grade classroom and also with a 2nd grade classroom. And they got to kind of run around, have fun, and play the games with other kids. And that was a ball. They were so entertained and just running and sweaty and had a great time there. And then it was time for lunch. So after gym time and lunch, we came back and it was W.I.N time. I actually kept W.I.N the normal way. I didn't do anything special for W.I.N. This is our 45-minute block in between lunch and specials. So just to keep things easy, I kept everybody in their station, but when they were done, they could choose to go to any, this was like iPad game station. They could do any iPad game they wanted to that is up here and available to them, of course, has to be approved already. Or they could go do a free choice. And most kids chose to pick a little iPad game here, which was totally fine for me because it was really only like 15 minutes of the day. So I'll show you what the 4 stations are. Let me do that now for W.I.N. You will know that this is where we keep all of our W.I.N activities. So my independent station had a 3-page worksheet like we usually do. Let me pull it over here. The first one is a read and match. I love these. We use these all the time for different skills. They have to read a decodable sentence. This one is with blends. And then they have to find the matching image and paste it in. Then we also have a visual discrimination task where students have to look through the entire word and figure out which one matches the image. This is really good, especially for some of my struggling readers who just want to guess at the word and aren't really attending to each sound in it. And then since we're working on place value with 10s and 1s, we just have a quick what's the number where students will count up the 10s first, then the 1s, write the number in the circle. Put that back. Let's look at math. For math, we just dove into place value this week, and since we finished up time, I was making a cute little decoration for our door. So I found this on TPT. I can link it down below. But basically, each student would pick a time, and they had to approve their time by me. It was either to the hour or the half hour. They would draw it on the analog clock and the digital clock, and then they would assemble their snowman together on a piece of construction paper and add some accessories. So let me show you. I already have some on the door. Here is just a quick little look at what some of them look like. And then I just printed out this cute little thing that we're having a great time in 1st grade. Put that back in. And then for writing, since this past weekend was Groundhog Day, they are sharing groundhog facts. So they watched a little video, I assigned it in Seesaw, all about groundhogs. It's from SciShow Kids. And then these are some of the words that are in the video. These are from my monthly writing units that we always do, monthly writing prompts, and they are all differentiated. So we have some with tracing, some with word banks, some that are blank. different lines, so on and so forth. And then after they would write at least 2 facts about groundhogs, they had this option to do a little directed drawing and draw the groundhog right here. And then our last station is always the reading station, where students are reading from their fluency folder or from their book bins with a partner, or they can read by themselves for a little bit before heading over to do their free gameplay today. After W.I.N, our special was music, and then we came back in to do the rest of our board games. So this was either board games or finish up that puzzle, but this was kind of students' last 20 or so minutes to be able to play with all the board games that they brought, spread out, try new things, and have some fun. And then last but not least, we put all the board games away and we had free play / free draw. So these are all of the types of activities we have around our classroom. We have a lot of like imaginative play and building things, but students also could choose to do a free draw as well if they wanted, with some Art for Kids Hub little drawings. So it was pretty 50-50, and then this was like a longer chunk of our day. It was about 30 minutes. So some kids chose to do a free draw, and then they went and free played and back and forth. So that is what a full global play day looks like, at least for me in my classroom in first grade. And yeah, it is a lot of fun. Like I said, I'm sure you can imagine towards the end of the day, that's kind of when the wheels started to fall off a little bit. Students have already played games before. Maybe they didn't get a chance to finish one, or that's when little arguments started to happen, you know, without as much structure to the day. That's why I really try to keep each like section of our day about 20 minutes long, and then we stop and we kind of do something different. I just find that if it goes on too long, it's actually not great for the kids. So that is what we're working on. All right, so let's see. I have Pilates in about 40 minutes, so I'm going to change. I'm actually going to look ahead at my plans for next week. All we have is next week, and then it is February vacation. And tonight, or tomorrow rather, there's supposed to be a lot of snow. So I'm very interested to see kind of how that plays out, because the snow is going to come during the day. So there's like a potential of a snow day. There's a potential of an early release day. It won't be a delayed opening because it's not starting until like 10, but it's supposed to be bad driving conditions. So fingers crossed we have a snow day. We haven't had one this year, and that would be fun. But yeah, we shall see. So I'm going to get everything ready. I'm going to look ahead for next week, and I'll see you tomorrow. Good morning from my home. We ended up having a snow day. It's Thursday morning. It is 8:30 right now. There's no snow in sight at the moment. The reason we got a snow day is because, from my understanding, because the snow will start around 10 or 11, and then it's going to create, it's like snowy, icy sleet. So it's going to be some really bad driving conditions. So I've got a full snow day. I have no plans of going anywhere. We thought this might happen yesterday, so we ordered some pizza last night, so we have leftovers in the house. I've already made myself a nice little coffee. I am set up at my computer. I have a new puzzle I started last night. Yeah, I'm just gonna have a nice, relaxing day. This was unexpected, so it'll be fun. I figured for today, since I'm not really going to be doing any teaching activities, I'll just create a little montage of my snow day for today's video, since we still do a full life in the week. And what that means is, unfortunately, tomorrow's Friday, and we have a half day, and it was supposed to be the 100th day of school. So that has now been postponed. I'm actually gonna write an email to my parents now, just to remind them that since kids can dress up like if they want to, like they are 100 years old, they are going to push that to Monday. So Monday will now be our 100th day, and Friday we will just continue on as a regular day. All right, let's enjoy this snow day. Happy Friday. Yesterday was a wonderful, wonderful snow day where I pretty much did nothing. I didn't change out of my pajamas. I actually worked quite a bit at my computer, which is so funny that before I came back to teaching, that was like my job full time. So it was nice to have uninterrupted hours at the computer, and I got a lot of updates done. I got some things ready for the SJT clubs, so that was nice. Other than that, I did some puzzling. I took a nice long bath. I hung out with the boys and yeah, kind of just relaxed. Every week should be a 4-day week, and Thursday was a great day off. We could do 3 days and then have a nice day off and then come back in for a Friday. That'd be great. It would be a nice little refresh in the middle of the week. All right, so today is Friday. It is a half day. And so what has happened is we have pushed the 100th day because it was supposed to be today. I should have been dressed like an old lady. But we pushed 100th day to Monday because that will be the new 100th day. So we'll do all those 100th day stations on Monday. And then also next week, Friday is Valentine's Day. So that'll be a fun week. So today we're just keeping regular. I'm pushing everything from Thursday to today, minus everything in the afternoon. So the morning is most of our core academic block with phonics and Haggerty and math and writing. So we're going to do a lot of that this morning. I actually might look at the plans. I might push up the reading because we do reading in the afternoon, like our language comprehension and small groups. I might push that to the writing time today. I'm gonna take a look at the slides and see, because I might push that because I want to keep that going. In writing, I think I can postpone a little bit. I think I told you in writing we've been doing folktales. So last time we did our little organizer, we had a star organizer where they picked a setting. They thought about who, what, where, and when for their folktale. It's kind of a funky one that we're doing, and I'll share more next week, I think, but they were going to take that and then kind of come up with a beginning, a middle, and an end. So I'm leaning towards, for my students, because coming up with a folktale has been really hard for them, but a fairy tale is a type of folktale, and students are super familiar with fairy tales. So I've kind of been pushing them towards the fairy tale side, and students had a much better concept, and they were much more likely to be able to brainstorm an idea. Once I was like, we gave them examples of fairy tales. We had already listened to a few. So once we were able to do that, students had no problem kind of planning out their work. So I think that'll be my plan. Also, I remember from a training that I took years ago, and then also the Interreading themselves, their trainers, said this quote, and it's just stuck with me, especially for a writing unit like this. And they said, not every writing piece needs to be published. So in Interreading, if you do use it, they pretty much do a new writing piece every 3 weeks. Most of the time when I'm doing like a main writing assignment and we're walking through the writing process, I like to have them publish one at the end. That's what like our work kind of culminates as, a published piece, but not all of them need to be published. And I think fairy tales or folk tales, that's going to be one of those. So we'll walk through the process. They'll kind of write it out, but it doesn't need to be polished. It doesn't need to be perfect. We've already dissected what folk tales look like and sound like. We already brainstormed an idea. We're going to plan it out, and we're going to practice writing it. And that might be it, because we really only have until the end of next week anyway, but I'll keep you updated on that. So let me pull up these slides, see what we need to get done for today. Also, I don't know what it is like where you live, but my poor little Calvi in the pink shirt here, my poor Calvi woke up last night at 12:30 with 102 fever, and some of his besties at school have the flu, so I'm thinking it has finally hit us. I've got my tea. I did get my flu shot this year, and I am hoping that all the coughing he did on me yesterday before he had the fever doesn't land. So that's what we're hoping for today. Okay, I just went through the slides and I put out the morning work, and I did end up switching just because we had Global Play Day. I did switch writing with reading. I flip-flopped them. And then we'll take whatever we were going to do for writing today and move it to Monday. Since Monday is the 100th day, I probably won't do 100th day activities the whole day. I'll probably just do it the morning, since we were planning on 100th day being a half day anyway. And that way we can also fit in some instruction that we need to do. So that'll be my plan, I am pretty sure. But I'll have to look at that when I make plans over the weekend. Let's see. So let me flip this around. I can show you what we're up to today. All right, we got our lunch choices and morning meeting per usual. It is Friday, but we're gonna do our yoga break to kick off our day. Then we'll go into regular Haggerty. In Phonics, we are finishing up week 1 of Unit 8 in Foundation, so we will review all of our sounds. I think I told you this before, but for the R-controlled vowels, students are just expected to decode them, not encode them. We'll do some trick word practice, and then we're going into our decodable text, which is the pink dress. So we will read this together, we'll echo read it, choral read it, and then we'll talk about the characters, setting, and the main events, so we can go through our comprehension. And then if we have time, we'll do a little dictation. After that, we'll do a little breathing break here. I might change this to a movement break depending on how students are doing. For a breathing break, I like something like this, and for a movement break, we usually do Danny Go. Then we are going into reading. So our essential question is, why do light and dark come and go? Our vocabulary, we have faces, shines, fades, patterns, seasons, weather. And then our focus is to make and confirm predictions. And we will take out our My Books and we will read this all together. And then at the end, we'll do a little turn and talk to talk about our predictions. And then we'll go into our reading centers. Students will do 10 minutes of Lexia. In Seesaw, they have a little read and match. Let me see if I can zoom in. I have a bunch of these in Seesaw, and I also have them in Google Slides. They're all in the clubs for under the digital section, but they just have to read the word and then drag the picture over. Once students finish that, they can go to Epic, and then we'll get ready for snack time. After snack, we will do our counting and calendar. And then we are talking all about place value. So next week, I think I have a whole video on place value, some of the ways I like to teach it, and some of the activities we like to do. This is one of our warm-ups. We'll use the words fewer and greater to compare these numbers. And then this is another warm-up that we do where students have to take these numbers over here, and then they have to either add or subtract 10 from them and find the matching number in the grid. And then they can explain to the class which one they did. Then we will, let's see, I haven't read this yet. So we'll take some cubes. Oh, we're gonna be comparing numbers. So we're gonna compare sets here. And then this is from Terra West. It's a little spin it board. Students will build the 10s and 1s. They'll write down both numbers and then circle the one that is greater. And then after that, we'll just do a little practice with some IXL. We always have a little wrap up at the end. And then we don't have lunch and recess today, but I think I will have us do our WIN station. So I shared these yesterday or the other day, but we have our independent station, writing, and math. And then of course our reading station. And then it will be time to go because we have our into reading training. We have part 2 of that training to get ready for the adoption next year. And students will be on their merry way home. So there you have a little week in the life as a first grade teacher. I hope you enjoyed coming along and seeing all the fun things we're doing and my lovely little snow day yesterday. That was a surprise for me and you. If you have any questions about this video or anything you want me to talk further about, just let me know down in the comments below. And as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.